Well, I'm Sam Worthington. I'd like to thank Congressman Connolly for his comments. And since we have a very full program this morning, I'd like to start introducing the administrator of USAID, Raj Shah. I first had the opportunity to meet Raj when he came to Interaction, when he was with the Gates Foundation, on trying to bring together parts of the Gates Foundation work on agriculture with the parts of our community that was involved in food security and on learning. And one thing that has struck me about Raj, and here is a gentleman who walked into his job, and I don't know if it was a week later or how many days later, all of a sudden Haiti hit, and then you have the president saying, "You're in charge of this," was a gentleman with tremendous intellect, but at the same time, a real willingness to surround himself, to listen, to learn, to bring in other expertise, and to lead with a style that I think is inclusive. And we really appreciate the relationship we have with the aid administrator. We recognize his biggest challenge right now is he needs a lot of people around him. We've just sent a letter to the White House pushing them, not pushing him because we know he wants these positions filled, to give him the space to get the right people around him. But it is with great pleasure that I'd like you to welcome Dr. Raviv Shah, the administrator of USAID, to make some comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate the chance to be here, and it's wonderful to be in a room with so many supporters and partners and like-minded development practitioners. So thank you for that opportunity. Sam, I want to thank you especially for Interaction's support of our overall agenda and just every step of the way, really pulling together the community to help us learn and really make decisions in a way that does include the input across this broad group of partners. Kathy, I want to thank you for your leadership and partnership with Interaction as well. And Congressman Connolly, that's a wonderful call to action. Well, I won't even try to address the big 50-year vision that you're calling for, but I think we have a unique opportunity to work with the Congress to have that be part of this administration's legacy and part of this administration's partnership with Congress. And so we're excited to take you up on that offer and that challenge. I also wanted to especially thank our co-chairs, Chris Elias and Susan Hayes. Chris has been a friend and partner for quite a long time, and I appreciate everything you're doing here. You know, I have enjoyed learning deeply about, is there an echo, or can you hear me okay? You can hear me okay. I've enjoyed working with Interaction and learning about the breadth of this community. In the past 3 years, 80 Interaction members have put more than $8 billion of U.S. taxpayer resources through USAID into work on behalf of really the poorest and the most vulnerable people in the world. In many cases, Interaction members put their lives on the line and take great risks in doing this work. I was reminded of the fact recently when I was in Darfur a few weeks ago, and we walked through an IDP camp called Otash. We witnessed a World Food Program distribution, met with mothers who were receiving health care services, met with children who were in school or seeking educational opportunities. They were actually out for the summer. And this particular camp was designed for about 11,000 people 5 or 6 years ago. Today, its current population is 71,000. And although the numbers are not ideal in terms of there are too many people in the camp, they've been there for too long, and the pathway out is more muddled and more challenging than it should be. It is easy to visit a place like that and have a great deal of respect for the humanity that this community brings to people who really have limited access to hope and to opportunity. And so I want to thank you for that. But just a few days after we left, 8 armed men kidnapped 3 Samaritan's Purse workers not far from that particular camp. 2 of the workers were Sudanese and were released, but a third was a woman from California who is still being held. And it is worth reflecting on the great personal risks that people take because they believe so deeply in the mission Congressman Connolly was highlighting. Our State Department is doing everything we can to release her, But in 2008 alone, there were 62 humanitarian workers kidnapped. And so we know that your work is invaluable and it's imperiling. And we know that you're motivated by really the best instincts to do the most good for the most people at the greatest time of need. And we share that aspiration. And in that sense, we're very much in this together. And I see the opportunity to visit with Interaction as a bit of a family reunion, a chance to reconnect, but also a chance to talk about how we might be able to partner more deeply and more effectively going forward. And I think that's very important because of what the Congressman said. Our time and our opportunity to frame what development should be about for the next 50 years, to frame the architecture that is how we work, and to improve, very importantly, to improve our operational and execution capabilities is right now. I believe the next 12 to 18 months is a unique point in time. I don't think the window will last much longer than that. And I think we have to do this in this moment. Part of this opportunity is driven by political opportunity. This is a president who deeply believes in development, and in his Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, and more recently in the administration's national security strategy, very clearly outlined how development is the common basis, shared prosperity is the common basis of our long-term security and our deep partnerships with populations all around the world. We have a Secretary of State who insists that development is a strategic, economic, and moral imperative, and it can be all of those things. And that we have a chance right now to elevate development to really stand with diplomacy and defense as a major part of our foreign policy. If you think about that statistically, we're a long way off in terms of our human resource capabilities, the level of budget and investment that goes into the field. But as an aspiration, it does set a target and offer a shift in mindset. We have a Secretary of Defense and a Chairman of the Joint Chiefs that are constantly calling for greater investment in development, for it to be executed more rapidly, and to build the expertise in the civilian agencies that ought to lead the development enterprise. And as we just heard, we have a Congress that is uniquely supportive, that brings unique leadership and a real perspective on where we are in a unique moment in history as we approach the 50-year anniversary of the Foreign Assistance Act and the Peace Corps and USAID. So to take advantage of this moment and this opportunity, I think we are going to have to do a few things differently. And I'd like to outline a few of those themes. The first is we have to do a better job of being evidence-based and really using the latest knowledge and insight to drive effectiveness. I had the opportunity to see this at work in our own agency in Haiti, where we used studies that have come out recently from the Poverty Action Lab that showed distributing chlorine tablets at the point of delivery of water as opposed to independently through private kiosks or other systems would increase their use and their effectiveness. We now have data from 56 Sentinel sites in Port-au-Prince that shows that more people in Port-au-Prince get access to clean water today than they did before the earthquake, and that has resulted in a 12% reduction in diarrheal illness compared with pre-earthquake levels. People find that hard to believe, but we know that the evidence base exists to make those kinds of improvements in our work across the board. A second example is with women and girls. We've known, and studies have shown for decades, that increasing investments in women and girls are far more likely to improve household living standards and indicators for children's educational attainment and nutrition. We've seen from this own community unique leadership at CARE and so many other partners, but I really respect what Dr. Helene Gayle is doing at CARE to make visible the opportunity that is represented by potential investments in women and girls and put that at the heart of all of their work. In many ways, we're trying to follow those footsteps. In our major food security initiative, we are deeply prioritizing investing in women farmers. We're looking at several decades of history where development efforts have essentially prioritized providing services to men. And we're asking our partners to hire female extension workers, to collect gender disaggregated data, and to invest in women's producers networks so we can disproportionately drive more of that investment to women.